Civilization. Cities created from buildings, roads, and culture, and none of it would exist without agriculture. Domestication of animals, irrigation, crop rotation, and food surpluses allowed humans to engage in activities besides food production. While science and the Industrial Revolution changed many techniques, agriculture maintains a key role in the advancement of societies. No place defines the relationship between rural and urban cultures than the county fair. The Santa Barbara County Fair reveals the community's traditions and values through its various exhibits. Visitors experience a microcosm of our county's economy, with each exhibit promoting its role in the state and national economies. Of course, competitions and exhibits are fun, but you can't beat the rides, games, or the food. For the past few months, I followed a group of 4-H students as they went through the process of raising lambs for the auction at this year's fair. What started almost 4 months ago at an Orchid Ranch concludes in this auction barn behind me. Over the next half hour, we're going to take you through the process and also show you everything that makes the county fair so vital to the community. To make the best better. That's the motto of 4-H. Their purpose is to engage youth to reach their fullest potential while advancing the field of youth development. There are 6.5 million 4-H members in the United States, and Santa Barbara County has its share of members past and present.
4-H and FFA is a great way to pass on a tradition. I mean, you will go to the fair and you'll see grandkids, grandparents, parents, little kids that are watching and learning, so it all becomes a big part of life. And it's just a key way of passing on that tradition. We have found that many people that weren't really ag background realized that they liked that. So then their children went into 4-H, and then the children became animal husbandry majors or farmers, or basically moved into that kind of lifestyle. So you bet, passes on the tradition and networks so well.
While 4-H has its roots in promoting hands-on learning to rural youth, today's 4-H focuses on instructing future leaders about citizenship, healthy living, and technology. One of those future leaders is Tamara Hansen, whose family has a long agricultural tradition in Santa Barbara County.
My grandpa had the egg business, which was the Marchando Brothers eggs, and this is in Delilah. And then the Cavaletto side of the family had the groves, which is the avocados and the oranges. And so my grandpa was in the Santa Barbara County 4-H, and then my mom was also in the Santa Barbara County 4-H, and then she hooked me into it. And I've actually, as soon as she showed me like her past in 4-H when I was like little, I was like, I can't wait to turn 10. I can't wait to be in 4th grade when I can be in 4-H.
What they could get out of the 4-H or FFA program is learning responsibility. So it's like a miniature community. So you teach people and you learn, and you're part of functioning in a community as a whole.
Our leader, Roger, he contacts the different breeders, and he decides which one he wants to take us to. And he takes a couple of us, and we look at the selection that the breeder has, and we pick out the number of sheep that we need for the number of people we have in our group that year. And then we take them here, we put all the sheep in a pen, and everyone in our group that's buying a lamb through the group comes and we draw numbers. And number 1 goes first, and it just goes like that, and we just kind of check around at the lambs and see which ones we want, and it's all by luck of the draw.
The students carefully examined each remaining sheep, thoroughly considering all the marks of a top-quality lamb: muscle thickness, finish or fat content, balance or overall appearance, size, and structural correctness. In due time, Tamara picked her lamb, which she named Delilah.
The reason I like this lamb, the main reason was it was a little bit taller than the other lamb, and with lambs, the taller, the more noticeable it is to the judge when we're showing them. So that was the main thing. Other than that, they were pretty much the same with the width in the thigh, and then we measure from the 13th rib back We want the length in there, and this one I think was a little bit longer, and it has good muscle on the back, pretty strong, so just build that up, and I think it looks like a pretty good lamb.
Controlling their sheep in a way that presents its best characteristics is how these students prove themselves as showmen. This is no simple task. The herd mentality of sheep make them difficult to control. Their excellent peripheral vision make them difficult to sneak up on. It's a struggle, but students soon learn to halter their sheep and control it by grabbing where its tail used to be, also known as the dock.
Give me the head hold is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for control right now. Okay, I'm going to come back. I'm going to go by. All I want to do is switch sides, because I'm going to hit it like that. Right, I want the hand in. You ready? Hit it. I'm going to hit it. Hit it. Okay, see now, see if you can control that one to keep her pointed. Come on and turn them around. Again, I'm not going to critique you. Turn around that way. I'm not going to, slow down, Rick. Come on, put the hand on the dock. I want this hold. I want this hold at the head. I want this hold. Because that animal, that's the best control position you got. Would you call the dog, please?
Which dog is it?
That's Taylor's. Well, he's a good dog, except you must look like a dragon or something to him. Play with the ball. Hey, hey! Oh, look at that! One of our junior leaders lost a lamb. Holy cow!
Pigs are technically really smart, and lambs are incredibly stupid. The lambs you really have to work with and get them familiar with their routines and everything, and the pigs, they kind of pick up on things a lot faster, and just a completely different type of learning experience. They ram themselves into walls, they go crazy, and pigs are a lot calmer. Last year, mine actually knocked itself out and sprained its ankle, ramming into the fence, so that was a fun experience.
Where cattle are kept in a corral, sheep spend their days in pens. This is where Delilah eats, sleeps, and sometimes decorates.
She tries to get herself under there, and she's getting a little bit big for this, but she climbs under there and she just crouches in. But I just come out and it's all over the place, and every morning I get a workout because I get to move it back in place.
Sheep are relatively easy to feed as they are fundamentally grazing animals. Were Delilah in a pasture, she would be happy with grass. But here on the ranch, she dines on high-quality feed.
I feed her almost a full can of grain. I try to spread it out so she has to kind of get up on all different angles, and it works her legs more. And then I give her just a couple handfuls and just sprinkle it over the top, because sometimes she wants just the grain. And that's what we feed them. And she drinks a lot of water. She goes through about a whole thing of water in about one day.
Lambs raised for market need extra activity to keep from losing muscle. Twice a day, Tamara drops by to give Delilah her workout.
I just let her out and run her back and forth. I chase her, and she gets pretty good exercise that way. But what I also do is I'll put the feed in the tray, and then I'll take her for a walk down the big hill, and then when I get to the bottom of the hill, I'll take off her halter and, smack her on the butt, send her in the right direction, and she just comes racing up the hill and back down to her pen to eat.
A week before the fair, the lambs are sheared of all their wool. But just like a trip to the hair salon, these lambs first need their wool thoroughly washed.
Before we shear the lambs, we have to wash them down really good to make sure all the dirt and the little burrs that get in their wool are out, because if it's not, then the shears will get stuck and it'll mess up the blades. And the blades are relatively expensive, so you want to keep the wool nice and clean so the blades can just slice on through. It depends on the lamb, how big it is, how rambunctious it is, but normally about an hour, maybe. hour and a half to shear a lamb. This lamb is standing on our carding table. The way they used to shear the lambs was they would take the shears like we have now, but they would only go along the back of the lamb where it was already flat. And then they would take smaller shears and they would card, what's called card the lamb, which like shape it so it looked more finished. And finally the meat industry caught on and they'd say, well, this lamb looked good, but then they'd feel it and there's like not as much finish. So now the judges know to look for that and less people do it because the meat industry. This particular lamb is not bred for the wool, it's bred for the meat. So the wool is really coarse and it wouldn't be good for much of anything. And this lamb was actually sheared about a couple of months ago, so the wool is pretty short anyways.
This lamb is actually a yearling. She's a breeder. This is actually the second time she's shown. She was shown last year as a market. She goes into a different class, a breeding class, where she's shown, except at fair, we don't sell the breeders. They only sell the market.
The weekend before the fair, the sheep are moved to the fairgrounds and the students decorate where the sheep are kept. Group areas are judged not just by style, but by how clean the area is kept. The fair's first major event comes Monday morning when the sheep are weighed.
We fill out two different forms. The medical form, if we have put any shots or given them any medication that would affect the meat. And then we line up in the front of the show rink, and the first lady that checks them out checks their teeth and just makes sure there's no blemishes on the skin. And the reason why we weigh the lambs is because during the auction, when the buyer is bidding, they're bidding per pound, so they only pay up to however much your lamb weighs.
While the weigh-in process is relatively painless, Tamara ran into a minor setback. Delilah had lost her tag.
We get the ear tags and everything when we register for fair, so that's like about a month or two before fair, and we tag them on our own. Ear tag them on our own, and she happened to get the ear tag ripped out of her ear, and if they don't have an ear tag in, I can't show her and she can't go to auction, so we had to bring that to their attention, and I had to go to get the ear tag machine and the new ear tag and then redo all the paperwork.
Two phases of the students' fair experience are marketing and showmanship. For marketing, the lambs are judged based on their physical characteristics. For showmanship, the student is assessed on their ability to successfully present their lamb.
The judges will look at the lamb and they will place the best looking lambs and the most meaty lambs to the top of the class and the leaner lambs towards the bottom. I'll probably be around the bottom because my lamb is rather thin, but they tend to put the lambs in groups that weigh about the same, so you get the best of the worst type deal. The theme for this year's fair is It's a Groovy Time in 2009. As always, the highlights were the exhibits, the rides, and the food.
It's real simple. You mix the funnel cake batter, pour it in to a 375 fryer, fry it for about 10 to 15 seconds on one side. It's kind of all about look, you just want to kind of fill it out, make sure, but it's, give or take. It just depends on the thickness type thing, and then you just give it a flip, but you got to be real soft with it. Basically, that's all it is. Deep fried, and then people love it. Everybody's got to have a funnel cake.
Although the auction process began Saturday evening, the Los Amigos group auctioned their lambs at the very end of the night.
They're going to want the bigger lambs because the bigger the lamb, the more the meat. And mine was on the smaller side, but she had good shape, so she did okay. We start by getting called into the show rink in there, and then we get called up one at a time onto the stage, and you just try to set up your lamb as quickly and as nicely as possible, put your knee into the brisket, and then set up the four legs. And that's really all we can do. Look like you're having fun up there and smile. Smile is the biggest thing.
Yes, sir, 950, you want to get 950? You want to get 950? Yes, sir, he did. You want to get 950? I saw him his way.
When all was said and done, Delilah was purchased for $9 a pound, a number which surprised Tamara.
I mean, I'm wondering if maybe they saved all their money till the end or what, but our group just racked in some good money, and I couldn't be happier right now. I did way better than I was expecting. I would have thought going in there maybe $4 or $5, maybe $6 a pound. I ended up with $9. I am so happy right now. I walked off laughing and jumping. I'm so excited. She's 109.
109, yes. So she sold for $9, so that's about $1,000 right there.
And I mean, the fair takes off that 6.5%, but still, I mean, I probably spent no more than $300 on her with all the feed, $350. So that's good profit right there. And I mean, that's money I'm going to spend on my next year's. And finally, when I'm done, all of it's going to go to college. So I mean, it's a great way to make money, learn lessons, and just be around the community and get support.
You take a 8 or 10-year-old, and that 8 or 10-year-old has a project. So that teaches that person that they're responsible for something. And it's so great because you go down and you get a loan at the bank, you buy the animal, you raise the animal, you sell the animal, you make a profit, and then you start over again. And then by the time you go to college, you can pay for your own college, which I did, which my daughter did, which people do.
And I'd also like to say that the buyers in there are great because they drop down so much money, and they're just local businesses, and it just shows how much they support and they care about our youth and the things that we do, and just to get that support makes everything 100 times more worth it.
The big memories, the fair. I mean, that place was so much fun, and any kid will tell you, I love the fair. And it's not the Ferris wheel, it's the having your animals there and being there with your friends and having a whole week of celebrating raising your animals, or sewing up your clothes, or baking your cookies, whatever you do.
The process of raising lambs for auction lasted 4 months, but the 4-H program is far from over. Tamara and her fellow 4-H students will attend camps before school begins and will continue in other 4-H programs throughout the year.
The people, the lessons we learn, the things that we get to do. I mean, the special camps and extra activities that we get to go. I got to go to Sacramento this summer and sit in the Capitol building, sit in the governor's chair. It was crazy. You get all these extra experiences, and then being here, raising an animal when you see kids walk in here. Is that a dog? And it's sad to me that young kids don't even know what that animal is. So I mean, we get a good we just learn so much, and that's what I love about 4-H, and what brings me back is the people and the fun and the lessons and everything. It's just a great thing to get into.